Ladies and gentlemen, as always, if you're a supporter of Palestine, you are on the right side of history, my friend. You don't need a PhD, or as Douglas Murray said, you don't need to be an expert to know what's going on in Gaza. I'm not an expert. The reason I don't really talk much about it, if you see my previous videos, is because we can all see what's going on. It's not like the world is still asleep. Everybody sees what's going on. Everybody knows what's going on. So with that being said, like I said, we are on the right side of history. Why do I say that? Simple. Because former Biden official Matthew Miller, Israel has no doubt committed war crime in Gaza. Now, ladies and gentlemen, is this a surprise? No, no. We've known this. But the reason he is admitting it is because, well, if you see the video, which I'm about to show you in a minute, as a matter of fact, you know what? Let's just watch the video together. So that way, it doesn't sound like I'm, adding new words or anything like that. Let's just watch the video together and give our thought on it.
Do you think what's going on in Gaza now is a genocide?
I don't think it's a genocide, but I think I think it is without a doubt true that Israel has committed war crimes.
You wouldn't have said that at the podium.
Yeah, look, because when you're at the podium, you're not expressing your personal opinion. You're expressing the conclusions of the United States government. The United States government had not concluded they've committed war crimes. Still have not concluded that.
But your personal view is they have.
And
they were while you were there.
But yes. But here, let me qualify.
Wow, ladies and gentlemen. So it turns out, after all, that everybody and, all the doctors, all the different organizations that were saying that what they saw in Gaza is, flat out a war crime. But for some reason, the Biden official were not admitting that. Same thing with the Trump administration. So the fact that he said what he just said, things haven't changed. It's not like once Biden got out of office, right, the Zionists finally decided to say, all right, guys, take a step back. It's over now. Let's go ahead and, no. It's gone even worse. Why? Because Trump decided to give Israel 200-pound bombs, something that Biden didn't want to do. So the fact that this guy is sitting here and saying that they have committed war crime while they were in office, while Biden was in office, you tell me. Biden refused to give Israel 200-pound bomb. Trump just got into office and he decided to give Israel 200-pound bomb. He just admitted that that Israel committed war crime while Biden was in office during the Biden administration. So you tell me, why isn't the international court taking action?
That there are two ways to think about the commission of war crimes. One is if the state has pursued a policy to deliberately committing war crimes or is acting reckless in a way that aids and abets war crimes. And that, I think, is an open question. I think what is almost certainly not an open question is that there have been individual incidents that have been war crimes where members of the Israeli military have committed war crimes. So ultimately, in almost every major conflict, including conflicts prosecuted by democracies, you will see individual members of the militaries commit war crimes. And the way you judge a democracy is whether they hold those people accountable.
But Israel hasn't.
That's my point,
right.
Is we have not yet seen them hold sufficient numbers of the military accountable, and I think it's an open question whether they're going to.
I'm really struck that you think now that Israel did commit war crimes, and yet at the time, and I get why, but at the time you were at the podium and you couldn't say that. I mean, personally, that must be very difficult for you.
So the State Department itself had concluded, not in these, they didn't phrase it in these terms, but I think I did at the podium a few times, had concluded that it was likely that Israel had committed war crimes. But I do think it's almost certain that they have.
Likely? He said likely. I mean, how stupid do you think we are?
Said before,
let's be honest, guys. How stupid do you think we are? The reason he didn't say flat out that Israel committed a war crime is because he knows that if he was to say it, he would have lost his job right then and then. So the fact that he's not in office anymore, well, he just came out and said that they committed a war crime. He just haven't used the G word yet, but that word is coming pretty soon. It's coming. The reason I say it's coming is because things are about to escalate. It's not going to get better from here on forth. The fact that the world has woken up, the fact that America has woken up to the gruesome destruction that is happening in Palestine, guess what? There's going to be more restriction on speech. They're going to put the boot down on the neck of American people because they don't want to stop. If they stop, guess what? Journalists will now have to go in there. And they will truly see the horror that the Palestinians have been dealing with for the past almost 2 years now. That's why they don't want a peace deal. Because they understand if a peace deal comes in, journalists will have to come in and see what happened. That's why they don't want a peace deal. It's not going to get better. It's going to keep getting worse. People have been on the street for almost 2 years telling them to stop, and they haven't stopped, and they keep doing it, and they keep going on, dropping bombs on innocent people. I'm going to say it again. Americans, it's not going to get better. They're going to have more restriction on speech. Recently, they're trying to sign a deal with Palatine. If you don't know what that is, it's a surveillance company. They're trying to surveil everything that you do. They're trying to see how you act. They wanna have access to every single thing that you do. So much so, if they could, they will see how you think. Every thought that goes into your mind, they want to have access to that. And now Palatine is the first step in literally infringing on your freedom of speech and freedom to do whatever the hell you want. It's only the beginning. It's not going to stop. Anyway, let's hop on to the next video.
You've been, I think, very, as you said before, I don't want to put you on either side of this debate, because I think actually people who are hardcore on either side of this debate probably see you as someone on the other side.
Yeah, they'll hate me. The extremists all hate me.
Right.
That's fine.
So, no,
Yeah.
not all. I didn't mean to say they all hate you. A lot of us like you.
They actually do. The ones who are to the
look, I think-
extremities on both sides, they all hate me. So that's fine.
But I think one of the things that any honest observer has noticed since the very beginning of this conflict is that the Israelis, including the highest levels of the Israeli government, they just speak out of both sides of their mouth the whole time. And so it's like, which argument are we even taking on? I mean, they'll sit here and say from the very beginning that the goal is just to get the hostages back and to defeat Hamas, while their finance minister is openly talking about how the goal is to cleanse the entire strip.
He's not even
and of course,
hiding
now
it.
we see,
He says
yes,
it.
yes.
He
And
literally says
we
it
actually
in
see
front
them-
of the world.
Yes. And we see them now putting this into plans into action to do this. So how are we to judge this? They'll sit here and say that they've taken painstaking efforts to make sure that they limit the number of civilians that are killed, while also saying they have no idea how many civilians are being killed, and they don't count the number because that's not who they're targeting. You'll sit here and say we're only targeting Hamas, or that we're only intentionally targeting Hamas, and at the same time think about the argument they're even making as Smotrich is out bragging about how not one grain of wheat will get into Gaza for this 3-month period that you're referring to. But they'll say, hey, look, they have stockpiles of aid that had gone in there previously. It's like, okay, Piers, so then logically, can't we deduce you're not starving Hamas? They've got plenty of food. Then who is the additional blockade supposed to impact? It's the civilian population. And so, listen, I'm sorry, this is just anybody with just common sense and a basic understanding of logic could tell you that none of these defenses make any sense. And instead, I think it's reasonable for us to say that we're going to judge the Israeli government, and I like that you were precise about that. We're talking about the government of a foreign country, not people who believe in Judaism across the world, and not even necessarily the people of that country. But when I'm judging the Israeli government, I'm sorry, I'm going to judge them based off what their actions are, and I'm going to judge them based off what their motives are when they admit the truth.
Yeah.
And so you could sit here and say, oh, we're doing everything we can to prevent the number of children dying, and then brag about the ratio, but at the same time tell me you don't even know the number of children who are dying. The bottom line here, and this is why global opinion is turning against Israel, is the level of human suffering that is being inflicted by Israel on the people of Gaza is evil. It is pure freaking evil, and it doesn't need to be done this way. And if you think you can get away with this with a decentralized media and with smartphones and with 4K high def images and with the ability through social media today for people to communicate in a non-controlled environment, good freaking luck, man. This is going to end up so bad for everyone. It's already ended up so bad for the poor people of Gaza. But I just can't. I'm truly stunned, Pierce, and I'm sure you are too. I am stunned by the lack of rational self-preservation on the part of the Israelis. Like, read the room here. You are turning the entire world against you, and I do not understand why they would choose to do this.
I can tell you why they choose to do this. It's because they understand that they've lost. See, when somebody gets pushed into a corner and they have nowhere else to go, they have no other choice but to go through the storm. They have no other choice but to go through whatever blockade is in front of them. So the fact that the whole world has woken up to this whole situation, they realize that they've lost the battle. They realize that. So they don't want to stop. If they stop, the people will truly see exactly what's really going on. I mean, what else can I say? What else can I say? I'm not even kidding. It was the first 2 to 3 weeks when this whole situation started. I knew from then these people are going to be slaughtered. Because this guy came and said these people are human animals. No food, no water, no electricity. Everything blocked off. And what did he say after that? Because we're dealing with human animals. And now the whole world has turned against you. The whole world has turned against you. One thing that I would like to say is Judaism and Zionism are not the same. People like to mix them together, but they're not the same. When Theodor Herzl came up with the idea, so many Jews were against it. Do you think it's a coincidence that when the state of Israel was being created, all of a sudden Jews all over the world started having problems in wherever land they were in, Muslim land, in England, you name it. They were having, all of a sudden they were having problems. They wanted to show the Jews that, hey, this is your only safe place, and they had to convince them one way or another. So what did they do? They started to attack other Jews in other lands. So that way, those Jews can say, oh, snap, we're not safe in this land. Let's go to Israel. If you see my previous video, I spoke about the fact that Benjamin Netanyahu was predicted to be the last prime minister of Israel. They predicted that he was going to be the last. And from the way things are looking, I'm starting to see that more and more now. This prediction was made before he became prime minister, by the way. This wasn't recent prediction. No. This was made all the way back in the 90s before he was prime minister. So it's like they knew that the only way for them to, I guess you can say, survive, which, is by completely wiping out the whole entire Palestinian people. Anyway, this video has gone on for too long. I'm going to go ahead and stop it right here. I really hope that you got the whole message. You learned something from this. And yeah, I will catch you guys up later.